Let's try that again. I took away one of the platforms, so we're gonna hope that that helps with the Wi-Fi. So you joined before. I hope you're back. Um, Share this live if you see it. And now we're recording. Welcome to the Cool Weirdos Podcast. I'm your host, Asha Cerise. And Cool Weirdos is my brand. Weirdo is an acronym for While Everyone is Demonstrate Originality. And this podcast is for the free thinking, free spirited people who march to the beat of their own drums. And, people like me. This podcast is all about healing, self love, self discovery, relationships, and trending topics. So, today's topic is, what does love feel like? I know everybody has their own definition of what love is, but what does it feel like? How do you recognize it when it's in your face? How do you recognize when you are falling for someone, the right one for you? So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I do feel like women get criticized a lot for romanticizing love and how relationships should go and how the courting process should be. And I personally don't see anything wrong with wanting romance and wanting to feel the feels and, just have that feeling like that you're with the right person. I think where the problem comes in at is, as little girls, we grew up having this idea that somebody's going to save us. So we have that fantasy and excitement about love as far as like a Prince Charming or a knight in shining armor. But those stories and those fairy tales lead us to believe that somebody's going to save us, which is not necessarily true. But I don't find anything wrong with wanting the bliss and joy that comes along with feeling loved and being courted and knowing that you are with your person. I think that we should stop, or we should get out of the habit of saying correlating so many negative terms with what love is, or what love should be associated with. Like, love is hard, love is pain. A lot of people say love doesn't exist. Even last week on Facebook, somebody was taking a poll about, would you rather have loyalty or love? And most people said loyalty, and a couple of us said love. And when I said love, somebody just got under my post like, really interesting. And it's gotten to the point where people don't want to choose love over other things, because we're taught to believe that there's so much negativity attached to it, or that it simply doesn't even exist. People really don't think that love exists. That's why you would choose loyalty over love, in my opinion. Because if someone truly loves you, authentically loves you, then what you're concerned about as far as somebody being loyal to you is going to come naturally. Like Angel says, love is loyalty, correct? Like, if you truly love me, there's nothing that I have to worry about when it comes to what you will do. Like, I trust you, I honor you, I respect you, and you do respect me as well. That's another question, like love or respect, love or this. Like, all of that comes along with that. And I think we have gotten so far away from what love is. Like, some people say God is love, and pure love is pure. Love is like the highest form of energy and bliss that you could ever imagine. So to think that it doesn't exist, or think that other things are more important or more valuable, I think it's just a trauma reaction, to be honest. So I put out a reel the other day with the song Second Nature by Destiny's Child, which is like one of my favorite songs on that first album. And they talk about how love should feel like second nature. In the first verse, Kelly says something like, she's playing with the wrong cards, but she thinks she has the winning hand. In my opinion, I take it like, she has all of these things that she can bring to the table, and she's ready, she's open, she is willing to love, but she's playing, she has the winning hand, but she has the wrong card. So I take that as, you have what is necessary to find the love, but you haven't met the person that has the same cards as you, or basically playing the same game as you, that is aligning with you. So on that reel, I basically put up some signs that make you kind of think, are you actually falling for the right person? Some of the things that I wrote was random thoughts that make you smile. And when I put that, I'm not talking about like having a flashback to something sexual, because, when you're sexually involved with somebody, sometimes you get those flashbacks and that makes you smile. But I'm just talking about thinking about that person, thinking about their presence, what they bring to you in your life, just the thought of them in your future. And that thought makes you smile. Um, Feeling their energy even when they're not around. Like, you're you can feel this person thinking about you. And energetically, how it works is, if you're thinking about somebody, most likely they're thinking about you as well. So you can feel that energy. You can feel, you start dreaming about this person. Like, you can just feel, um, your senses are heightened, and you can feel this person. You can smell their scent. You can visualize them like they're already, like they're right with you. Um, you're not afraid to let them know that they're on your mind. I think a lot of times, even at this big age, as us being grown as people, sometimes we are afraid to let somebody know that I'm thinking about you, I miss you, I like this about you, because either you're not sure if they feel the same way, you don't feel safe enough to share that, or you're hesitant because kind of second guessing your own feelings, which goes into, you are not confused or unsure about your feelings. And I think that's so huge for me, because I tell people all the time, it shouldn't feel confusing. Like, if it's real, if this is a person that you want to be with, that you want to fall in love with, that you're courting, that you're dating, there should be no confusion about it. If you're thinking in your head, does this person like me too? Does this person want to do this or that? The answer is no. Um, I really believe that, when you're really falling for the right person, that everything will be clear. You'll have clarity. And you're confident that the feelings are mutual. That's another big thing. Like, you're not confused about your feelings. You're not confused about how they feel. You know how they feel about you. And you all have a deep like or a love for each other. Or it feels different from past relationships, because a lot of us have experienced toxic relationships, or relationships that felt wrong. And all of a sudden, when you meet your person, or the person that is for you for that season, and it's right for you at that time, it just feels different. And nothing is forced, everything flows. That's another thing that I always say. If you have to force it, if the situation is forced, if you're the only person that's reaching out, if it's one-sided, if the energy is um, not reciprocated, the actions are not reciprocated, um, I'm good. If it's not flowing, if it doesn't feel natural, like the song says, second nature. If it doesn't feel like second nature, don't head on somewhere. And um, like I always say, if it don't feel like 90s R&B, I don't want it. And I don't know about y'all, but I love me some 90s R&B. And just when you really think about how it makes you feel, if you are connected to music as much as I am, the nostalgia, the way you can just visualize everything that they're saying, and you feel excited about love, you feel passionate about it, you have, just joyful memories attached to them, and it makes you excited about love. Like, if it don't feel like that, I'm good. And as I'm saying that, I want to be clear that I know that love, or being in a relationship, is not always blissful, and doesn't always feel like amazing, like a skip through the meadow, frolicking through the flowers. I understand that, because there are going to be some hard days, there are going to be some conflicts, there are going to be some times where you might not even like your person. But when the love is there, when it's genuine, and when you can always come back to that, that's what I want. Yes, I hate forced relationships too. I'm so good on it. Like, we don't even have to try that hard. If we got to try that hard, it's just not meant to be. Thank you. No, thank you. And one of the other things I put is, it's a genuine connection instead of an unhealthy attachment. And I wanted to go into what connection is versus attachment. I'm not sure if I went over this in a past episode, but I think that it's important to reiterate the difference, because a lot of people don't know. Um, Connection from the heart. Attachment is from the mind. Connection is present and attachment is future focused. So if you can be present with your connection and you're not so overly concerned about what y'all going to have in the future, that there's the difference there. Connection fulfilled and attachment needy, which goes to show you that when I hear fulfilled, to me that means self-fulfilled. So you are already whole as yourself, as an individual, and you come with another whole individual and you all make something that's healthy. But when you are needy and you are, all clingy and you can't live without this person type energy, that's where that attachment comes in. Connection is trust. Attachment is control. And that's another thing. Yes, this live will be available for replay, and the audio is being recorded as well, and it will be on YouTube. I had to cut off Facebook because the streaming was like going crazy. But yes, trust versus control, and I think that is so huge when I see relationships. When I even reflect on my old relationships, and when I see people that I coach, the control factor. I feel like if we release control in these relationships, they would be 10 times more healthy. I had to do a lot of healing, a lot of self accountability, and a lot of growing up to be mature enough to kind of let go of the control that I wanted in my past relationships. I felt that I was the only person being controlled in one of my past toxic relationships, but when I reflected back, I'm like, I was controlling as hell too. And his controlling was more like, don't look at no other man, or what you doing over there, or don't wear that type, abusive type stuff. Mine was more like, who's that calling? Let me have your password to your Facebook. What's your, needing to know passwords, and controlling who you are, who you're going around, and who your friends are. And that's why I find it so important now to have a man that is secure and that trusts himself and me, and that is trustworthy, because I don't want to control who your friends are and what decisions you make as a grown person. I can only trust that whatever we agree upon in our relationship, that it will be honored, and you grown outside of that. This live is being recorded for quality assurance purposes. Okay. All right. Thank you. You have a good night too. So yes, letting go of that control. A lot of people in these relationships, you want to know who your person is being around, who their friends are, what are they saying on their phone. You're going through their phones, you're going through their belongings. You said, back in my day, I was the control freak queen. So I used to set booby traps. Like if I'm not at the house, I got a little something in the door that lets me know if you didn't open the door, and looking at caller ID when we had house phones and all of that. And all of that comes back down to stressing your own self out. When I was looking through phones and looking at phone bills to look at numbers and calling numbers back, and we tracking each other's phones and all of that, it led me to nothing but stress. Ever since that relationship, which was a decade ago, I vowed that I'm not looking through no damn phones no more. I'm not trying to do it. Whatever is happening, if there's something that's happening that I don't want to be bothered with, it will come to the light. It will show itself up. The first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to have a dream. So once I have that dream and it's matching the suspicions that I have, we already can wrap it on up, because I already know what's happening. Yes, insecurities. Yes, it takes too much energy. It just takes too much energy. It takes too much time, and you just end up breaking your own damn heart. Like if you think your man is cheating, he is. If you think your woman is cheating, she is. What you gonna do about it? If you're not gonna leave, why are you looking for something to be mad about? I kind of believe in letting people cheat in peace, because if you think that they're doing it and you're not going nowhere, what's the point of riling shit up? Just mind your business. But even just the little control of just, hovering over people, not giving them space, not controlling how they are in general. And I'm still working on my control issues now, are more so like things that get on my nerves, trying to control people from doing those things. And I'm learning that I cannot control that. I can only control myself. I can only remove myself from the environment. Even communicating things that get on my nerves may not be appropriate all the time. And I'm talking about little things like smacking, eating a certain way, making noise when I don't feel like hearing a bunch of noise. I talked about that last week too. Those are my own little things that irritate me, and letting go of the need to control other people. I can't do it. So, but back to the list. Connection is freedom, which goes back to that control. And attachment is expectations. Like when we set all these expectations for people to be a certain way, just like I'm saying, be a certain way, or do things the way we want them to do them, or be who we want them to be, it's just gets unhealthy. Interdependent versus dependent. So notice they didn't say independent versus dependent. Interdependent, the connection is we are relying upon each other. We are submitting to each other. We are working together. We have a partnership. Dependent means everything I need, I got to count on you to give me. And that's from happiness, material things, everything under the sun. Not cheating peace. Yes. If you're not going nowhere, ain't no sense of riling stuff up. Connection, selfless versus attachment, selfish. So what are you willing to, I feel like there needs to be balance with that too, because in some ways being selfless can be harmful if you are too selfless. And of course, being selfish, you already know that's going to be harmful. Growth versus hindrance. So are you able to grow individually, and are you able to grow as a couple? Or are you hindering each other? Are you keeping each other stagnant and content in a space that's not healthy for either of you? Balanced versus unbalanced. As I was getting ready for the show earlier, it was so crazy. Alignment has been happening, like angel numbers and synchronicities and all these things have been happening for me a lot lately. But I was listening to my speaker, my Bluetooth speaker, and Sure Thing by Miguel was on. And I was scrolling on TikTok, and I scrolled on him performing it live. And I was just like, what are the odds? And it was like literally seconds off, like from what it was playing on my Bluetooth to how he was performing it on the TikTok. And it made me go look at the lyrics again. And as I'm the lyrics is like, love you like, respect you like a lover. But some of the, if you be the cash, I'll be the rubber band. You be the match, I will be painter, baby, you could be the muse. I'm the reporter, baby, you can be the news. Cause you're the cigarette and I'm the smoker. We raise a bet cause you're the joker. Checked off, you are chalk. And I could be the blackboard, you could be the talk. And I could be the walk. So everything that he's saying in those lyrics and that whole song is about balance. Like, how can you come together? Like, you are the yin to my yang. So I just thought that was interesting while I was getting ready for the show. Like, love is balance. Being able to balance your own energy, the masculine and feminine within yourself, your own lifestyle, your own routine, and your own responsibilities, and then being balanced with your masculine and energy with your partner and with the way you all connect and the way you all flow together. I do too, and I think that the lyrics are dope. Clarity versus confusion. I said that earlier. That connection is going to provide you with clarity. There is no confusion when it comes to authentic, genuine love. And the confusion, if you have any confusion, if you're confused about somebody and what their intentions are, or what they want with you, or how they feel about you, something ain't right. That's a red flag. Deep versus surface level. That's huge for me too, even when it comes to conversations. What we talking about? Because if we can't get deep, if we can't feel deep feelings for one another, and everything is just surface level, we ain't talking about nothing important, it's just womp, 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 I'm good. Acceptance versus attempt to change. And again, that's what I said I was working on when it comes to my control things. Not really trying to change the person, but just trying to change little habits and stuff. That's something that I have to release control over to this day. But acceptance, in my opinion, I'll talk about this a little later, but to me, love is acceptance. Like, I accept you the way you are, as is right now. I love who you are. I'm not trying to change anything about you. Connection is easy. Attachment is difficult. Goes back to what I say, flow versus force. Want versus need. I want to be with you. I choose you. I choose this relationship versus I need you. I don't know what I'll do without you. I need you to fill my cup. I need you to um, be my everything. I need you to be my source of happiness. Attachment. Bye. Connection is long lasting and attachment is temporary. So, some of the responses I got back from other people about how they kind of know when they're falling for the right person. Somebody said it's a unique, or Angel said it's a unique feeling, it's alignment. And then someone else said it's just a feeling that you get. So, again, that feeling, people are ignoring the fact that love is a beautiful thing because everybody wants what love is. And I also wanted to talk about, since we're talking about connection versus attachment, authentic love versus trauma bond. And I believe I may have talked about this on my episode about abuse, but this is another great opportunity to talk about the differences, because a lot of people are thinking that they're in love, but they're really in trauma bonds. You really just connected with someone based on the traumas that you've experienced. This person is abusing you, you are the abuser, you all are thinking you're balanced, but you're balanced in an unhealthy way. It's abuser to abuse, empath and narcissist, or narcissist and empath. Um, or you just connecting over the fact that you've been through some things and you've been through toxic similarities. So authentic love is I see you, I hear you. And trauma bond is I need you and I'm addicted to you. As soon as dudes start telling me that, I need you, I need your energy, I need to be around you. Well, that was fun while it lasted. Like, I know people think that that sounds sweet, but to me, that's like a red flag. I don't want you to. I'm not saying that that's what they say and everything else is good, but there'll be other little signs that it's starting to be more of an attachment than a healthy connection. So that's just like something to think about. It's not like deal breaker if everything else is healthy, because some people just don't know how to put things into words. But for me, that's cringy when I hear I need your energy, because I'm often drained of my energy because my energy is dope. People come to me and drain the hell out of it. And so when I hear people say that they need it, I guess it just kind of depends on how I feel when I leave that person. If I feel drained when I'm around you and then you tell me that, I'm going to look at you like an energy vampire. But if I feel filled up as well and poured into as well and connected with you, and you say that, it might feel a little bit better. I'm going to clarify that. Authentic love is mutual trust and predictability. The words align with the actions. You're not just talking out your butt. You actually showing up and doing what you say you're going to do. And trauma bond is highs and lows and that nervous system activation. So a lot of times with the trauma bond, you'll get the love bombing and all of the amazing things at the beginning. And then all of a sudden you'll get the criticism and the judgment and the mean remarks and the insulting and taking you on these highs and lows that's um, activate certain hormones in your body that you can get addicted to, those highs and lows, that serotonin and that oxytocin, and then you get that low what is that, cortisol hormone that's activated that causes like belly fat, that stress hormone. You can actually get addicted to those highs and lows, and that's what happens in these trauma bonds. Emotional vulnerability versus emotionally phobic, emotional vulnerability and open communication versus emotionally phobic but highly sexual. So, when a person is able to be just as vulnerable with you and make you safe enough to feel vulnerable with them, that's a telltale sign of a healthy connection. And they're able to communicate with you and have conversations, and, you all can connect in that way, versus somebody that's just like afraid of emotions. They're emotionally unavailable. They don't want to talk. They don't want to tap into anything deeper than surface level, but they want to have sex with you. They're okay with doing that. They're okay to talk freaky with you. But when it comes to real emotions and feelings, all of a sudden they shy away. Authentic love has clear boundaries, free of self-betrayal and self-accountability. And that's a big word. Everybody wants to, men are trying to say they keeping women accountable, women trying to say they're holding men accountable. The most important form of accountability to me is self-accountability. People can tell you all day or tell somebody all day what they need to be doing, how they can do this better, what they need to do to change. But until you recognize that within yourself and your own actions and your habits, it really is going to go out of one ear and out the other. So being able to have self accountability and be able to have boundaries with people or have boundaries with your partner, and they be respected and be honored, and you feel safe enough to set them without feeling it's going to be a big deal, versus enabling behavior that's hateful or abusive in order to receive love. Because when you're in these trauma, like I said, that up and down, highs and lows gets to be addicting to the point where you just want any type of emotion to be with this person you're so attached to that you'll accept anything. You'll accept the abuse because you feel like, oh, he abuses me because he loves me. Or you'll accept him talking to you crazy because it's just like, oh, he'll get over it. I can't leave him. I can't abandon him, or whatever story you tell yourself. So those are the differences there. And then in authentic love, partners do inner work to hold space, to grow and evolve, versus a trauma bond where partners attempt to, ooh, can I read my own handwriting? I don't know what that says, but they they attempt to control each other. So that's big. Being able to do your own inner work, being able to heal yourself and do what needs to be done to make your changes for yourself that's necessary to have a healthy connection. Nobody else can do your inner work for you. You can want your man or your partner to go to therapy or to come meditate with you or start journaling or start communicating, all of these things, but until they are open and ready and willing to do that for themselves, women too, whoever your partner is, you can want it for them, but they have to want it for themselves, and they have to be willing to do the actual work in order to heal themselves and grow and evolve as an individual, so that you all may do that as a couple. When they attempt to control each other, that's where that trauma bond comes in. So that is what I wanted to say about that. Some of the responses when I said, what does love feel like? They said, authentic and sure, facts, freedom, and somebody says an emotional outburst. That was a man, so I'm, I guess he's just overwhelmed with emotion. But I wanted to do something a little different on this episode because I was going through some of my old books, and I really wanted to read y'all. I want to read y'all a whole chapter out this book. I hope that you have time. You got on something cozy that you can actually listen to this. But I think that this is like one of the greatest chapters in this book that explains love and happiness. So let me start. Hold on. I'm going to stop my recording and restart because it gives me only 30 minutes at a time. But this book is called The Mastery of Love. Oh, hold on. Let me start recording again. This book is called The Mastery of Love, and this is by Don Miguel Ruiz, who is also the author of The Four Agreements. So this is like, in The Mastery of Love, Don Miguel Ruiz illuminates the fear-based beliefs and assumptions that undermine love and lead to suffering and drama in relationships. He uses a lot of insightful stories. So I just want to read this one chapter because I think that the story that they tell will resonate with a lot of people. And this is called The Man Who Didn't Believe in Love. Get your popcorn and your cozy blankets because this is story time with Asha Cerise. So this is chapter 3 of this book, The Man Who Didn't Believe in Love. I want to tell you a very old story about the man who didn't believe in love. This was an ordinary man just like you and me, but what made this man special was his way of thinking. He thought love doesn't exist. Of course, he had a lot of experiences trying to find love, and he had observed the people around him. Much of his life had been spent searching for love, only to find out that love doesn't exist or didn't exist. Wherever this man went, he used to tell people that love is nothing but an invention of the poets, an invention of religions, just to manipulate the weak mind of humans, to have control over humans, to make them believe. He said that love is not real, and that's why no human could ever find love, even though he might look for it. This man was highly intelligent, and he was very convincing. He read a lot of books, he went to the best universities, and he became a respected scholar. He could stand in any public place in front of any kind of people, and his logic was very strong. What he said was that love is just like a drug. It makes you very high, but it creates a strong need. You can become highly addicted to love, but what happens when you don't receive the daily doses of love? Just like a drug, you need your everyday doses. He used to say that most relationships between lovers are just like a relationship between a drug addict and the one who provides the drugs. The one who has the biggest need is like the drug addict. The one who has a little need is like the provider. The one who has the little need is the one who controls the whole relationship. You can see this dynamic so clearly because usually in every relationship, there is one who loves the most and the other who doesn't love, who only takes advantage of the one who gives his or her heart. You can see the way they manipulate each other, their actions and reactions, and they are just like the provider and the drug addict. The drug addict, the one who has the biggest need, lives in constant fear that perhaps he will not be able to get the next dosage of love or the drug. The drug addict thinks, what am I going to do if she leaves me? That fear makes the drug addict very possessive. That's mine. The addict becomes jealous and demanding because the fear of not having the next dosage. The provider can control and manipulate the one who needs the drug by giving more doses, fewer doses, or no doses at all. The one who has the biggest need completely surrenders and will do whatever he can to avoid being abandoned. The man went on explaining to everyone why love doesn't exist. What humans call love is nothing but a fear relationship based on control. Where is the respect? Where is the love they claim to have? There is no love. Young couples in front of the representation of God, in front of their families and friends, make a lot of promises to each other to live together forever, to love and respect each other, to be there for each other through the good times and the bad times. They promise to love and honor each other and make promises and more promises. What is amazing is that they really believe these promises. But after the marriage, 1 week later, a month later, a few months later, you can see that none of the promises are kept. What you find is a war of control to see who will manipulate who will be the provider, and who will have the addiction. You find that a few months later, the respect they swear to have for each other is gone. You can see the resentment, the emotional poison, how they hurt each other little by little, and it grows and grows until they don't know when the love stops. They stay together because they are afraid to be alone, afraid of the opinions and judgments of others, and also afraid of their own judgments and opinions. But where is the love? He used to claim that he saw many old couples that had lived together 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, and they were so proud to have lived together all those years. But when they talked about their relationship, what they said was, we survived the matrimony. That means one of them surrendered to the other. At a certain time, she gave up and decided to endure the suffering. The one with the strongest will and less need won the war. But where is that flame they call love? They treat each other like a possession. She is mine, he is mine. The man went on and on about all the reasons why he believed love didn't exist or doesn't exist. And he told others, I have done all that already. I will no longer allow anyone to manipulate my mind and control my life in the name of love. His arguments were quite logical, and he convinced many people by all his words, love doesn't exist. Then one day, this man was walking in a park, and there on a bench was a beautiful lady who was crying. When he saw her crying, he felt curiosity. Sitting beside her, he asked if he could help her. He asked why she was crying. You can imagine his surprise when she told him she was crying because love doesn't exist. He said, this is amazing. A woman who believes that love doesn't exist? Of course he wanted to know more about her. Why did you say that love doesn't exist? He asked. Well, it's a long story, she replied. I married when I was very young, with all the love, all the illusions, full of hope that I would share my life with this man. We swore to each other our loyalty, respect, and honor, and we created a family. But soon everything changed. I was the devoted wife who took care of the children in the home. My husband continued to develop his career, and his success and image outside of the home was more important to him than our family. He lost respect for me, and I lost respect for him. We hurt each other, and at a certain point, I discovered that I didn't love him, and he didn't love me either. But the children needed a father, and that was my excuse to stay and do whatever I could to support him. Now the children are grown and they have left. I no longer have any excuse to stay with him. There's no respect, there's no kindness. I know that even if I find someone else, it's going to be the same because love doesn't exist. There is no sense to look around for something that doesn't exist. That is why I'm crying. Understanding her very well, he embraced her and he said, "You are right. Love doesn't exist." We look for love, we open our heart, and we become vulnerable, justifying selfishness. That hurts that hurts us even if we don't think we will be hurt. It doesn't matter how many relationships we have, the same thing happens again and again. Why even search for love any longer? They were so much alike and they became the best friends ever. It was a wonderful relationship. They respected each other and they never put each other down. With every step they took together, they were happy. There was no envy or jealousy. There was no control. There was no possessiveness. The relationship kept growing and growing. They loved to be together because when they were together, they had a lot of fun. When they were not together, they missed each other. One day, the man was out of town. He had the weirdest idea. He was thinking, maybe what I feel for her is love. But this is so different from what I have ever felt before. It's not what the poets say it is. It's not what religion says, because I am not responsible for her. I don't take anything from her. I don't have the need for her to take care of me. I don't need to blame her for my difficulties or to take my dramas to her. We have the best time together. We enjoy each other. I respect the way she thinks, the way she feels. She doesn't embarrass me. She doesn't bother me at all. I don't feel jealous when she's with other people. I don't feel envy when she is successful. Perhaps love does exist, but it's not what everyone thinks love is. He could hardly wait to go back home and talk to her, to let her know about this weird idea. As soon as he started talking, she said, "I know exactly what you were talking about. I had the same idea long ago, but I didn't want to share it with you because I know you don't believe in love. Perhaps love does exist, but it isn't what we thought it was." They decided to become lovers and to live together. And it was amazing that things didn't change. They still respected each other. They still were supportive of each other, and the love grew more and more. Even the simplest things made their hearts sing with love because they were so happy. The man's heart was so full with all of the love he felt that one night a great miracle happened. He was looking at the stars and he found the most beautiful one. And his love was so big that the star started coming down from the sky, and soon that star was in his hands. Then a second miracle happened, and his soul merged with that star. He was intensely happy, and he could hardly wait to go to the woman and put that star in her hands to prove to the woman and to prove his love to her. As soon as he put the star in her hands, she felt a moment of doubt. This love was overwhelming, and in that moment, the star fell from her hand and broke in a million little pieces. Now there is an old man walking around the world swearing that love doesn't exist. And there is a beautiful old woman at home waiting for a man, shedding a tear for a paradise that once she had in her hands. But for one moment of doubt, she let it go. This is the story about a man who didn't believe in love. Who made the mistake? Do you want to guess what went wrong? The mistake was on the man's part in thinking that he could give the woman his happiness. The star was his happiness, and his mistake was to put his happiness in her hands. Happiness never comes from outside of us. He was happy because of the love coming out of him. She was happy because of the love coming out of her. But as soon as he made her responsible for his happiness, she broke the star because she could not be responsible for his happiness. No matter how much the woman loved him, she could never make him happy because she could never know what he had in his mind. She could never know what his expectations were because she could not know his dreams. If you take your happiness and put it in someone else's hands, sooner or later, she is going to break it. If you give your happiness to someone else, she can always take it away. Then if happiness can only come from inside of you and is the result of your love. You are responsible for your happiness. We can never make anyone responsible for our own happiness. But when we go to the church to get married, the first thing we do is exchange rings. We put our star in each other's hands, expecting that she is going to make you happy and you are going to make her happy. It doesn't matter how much you love someone, you are never going to be what that person wants you to be. That is the mistake most of us make right from the beginning. We base our happiness on our partner, and it doesn't work that way. We make all those promises that we can't keep, and we set ourselves up to fail. So, the reason why I wanted to share that excerpt, again, this is The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz, and that was chapter 3. Because as you can see, once they let go of the ideas that society and that family and religion placed on them of what love is or what love should be or how relationships should operate, they were able to have a blissful relationship that had balance, that had trust, that had all of those things that we just talked about under what a connection is and what authentic love is. But as soon as he had that feeling of love that created the happiness, he put it in her hands and made her responsible to keep him maintaining that happiness. And then that's when everything ended. That's when everything went bad. That's when all those expectations arise and it created distance between them. So I think that is beautiful. I have chills with that part of the book because that is something that we often do with other people. We think that they are responsible for our happiness and no one else is but you. That is an inside job. Like other people can create an overwhelming feeling of love and joy that equates to you being happy, but they're not responsible for it. So I think that that's a wonderful book to read if you are single, if you are in a relationship, if you just want to, you know, study this is a practical guide to the art of relationships. I think we often talk about what societal norms are and everything, but there's spiritual and meaningful art and art to relationships. I don't want to get too much into reading, but I did want to read a little bit of this book as well. Not as long as that. It's just a quick excerpt. So this is a book by Osho, and this is called Love, Freedom, and Aloneness. And this part that I wanted to read is kind of similar to what we just read in The Man of Love. Okay, so page 71. So this was actually, we'll go back. So this is chapter 8, and it's, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's the koan of relationship. The best koan there is love, is relationship. That's how it is being used here. A relationship is a puzzle with no clue to it. Howsoever you try to manage it, you will never be able to manage it. Nobody has ever been able to manage it. It is made in such a way that it simply remains puzzling. The more you try to demystify it, the more mysterious it becomes. The more you try to understand it, the more elusive it is. It is a great koan that any koan that Zen masters give to their discipline or disciples, because their koans are meditative. One is alone. When you are given the koan of relationship, it is far more complicated because you are two, differently made, differently conditioned, polar opposites to each other, pulling in different directions, manipulating each other, trying to possess, dominate. There are 1,001 problems. While meditating, the only problem is how to be silent, how to be caught in thoughts, or how not to be caught in thoughts. In relationship, there are 1,001 problems. If you are silent, there is a problem. Just sit silently by the side of your wife, and you will see. She will immediately jump upon you. Why are you silent? What do you mean? Or speak, and you will be in trouble. Whatsoever you say, you are always misunderstood. No relationship can ever come to a point where it is not a problem. Or if sometimes you see a relationship coming to the point where there is no longer a problem, that simply means it is not a relationship anymore. The relationship has disappeared. The fighters are tired. They have started accepting things as they are. They are bored. They don't want to fight anymore. They have accepted it. They don't want to improve upon it. Or in the past, people tried to create a kind of harmony forcibly. That's why down the ages, women were repressed. That was one way of sorting things out. Just force the woman to follow the man, then there is no problem. But it is not a relationship either. When the woman is no longer an independent person, the problem disappears. But the woman has also disappeared. Then she is just a thing to be used. Then there is no joy. And the man starts looking for some other woman. If you ever come across a happy marriage, don't trust it on the surface. Just go a little deeper and you will be surprised. So he gives a little story. You really have to read this book to kind of get the context of what he's talking about as far as the meditative part. But I wanted to fast forward to this part where he says, love and meditation should go hand in hand. That is one of the most essential messages that I would like to share with you. Love and meditation should go hand in hand. Love and meditate, meditate and love. And slowly, slowly, you will see a new harmony arising in you. Only that harmony will make you contented. So a question that someone asked him was, how can I know that a woman has fallen in love in reality and not playing games? Which is a perfect question to what I was asking, like, how do you know you are falling for somebody? And it says that is difficult. Nobody has ever been able to know it because, in fact, love is a game. That is its reality. So if you are waiting and watching and thinking and analyzing whether this woman who is in love with you is just playing a game or is in reality in love, you will never be able to love any woman because love is a game, the supreme game. There is no need to ask for it to be real. Play the game. That's its reality. And if you are too much of a seeker for reality, then love is not for you. It is a dream. It is a fantasy. It is a fiction. It is romance. It is poetry. If you are too much of a seeker after reality, obsessed with reality, then love is not for you. Then meditate. And it goes on and on and on. But I think it's interesting to see different people's perspective about what love is, how relationships operate, how to make them more harmonious and not stressful and controlled and attachment based. Again, this book is called Love, Freedom, and Aloneness. It talks about, that self-love and being single and all of that, but it also talks about how do you go from that to being in a relationship and making sure that it works. So let me pause my audio. We're gonna take a couple minutes of a pause. If anybody has any questions or want to include anything into this episode, please add it here. You can put questions in the question box, or you could just type in your comments. YouTubers, how you doing?
All right, sweetie.
All right, be careful.
I got your card. Did you need it?
Mm-mm. All right. Be careful. Let me know when you get there. Thank y'all for joining me. We're almost wrapping it up. Okay, so we're back. So there was a few questions that I wrote down that I wanted to share with everybody as far as questions that I've asked myself. I'll answer them from my perspective. If you're on the live, you can answer them, or if you watch the playback, you can think about these things as well. Is love enough? And in my opinion, love is a beautiful thing. Like I said, it's the most beautiful, powerful, blissful, wonderful energy that you can tap into. But I honestly don't feel like it is enough to sustain a healthy relationship. I do feel like other factors have to be a part of that. Like, you can love someone and they're just not your person. You have to make sure that you are compatible and that your life aligns with theirs, and the things that you have in mind for your future, you all can agree on and share have some type of vision that goes hand in hand, or at least be supportive of that vision. That your values align, because a lot of times people, have certain values that their partner doesn't share, and that's where conflict comes in. So ask, if you want to share, ask yourself, is love enough? And then I had a conversation with a friend the other night or last night, and we talked about, should marriage be handled more like a business? So a lot of people do marry for money and not love, or security, generational wealth, just to live a soft life. You see a lot of women that are, and men do it too. Men have sugar mamas and have women that they connect with that it just makes sense for them financially. And because love is not enough, and nobody wants to choose struggle love and financial distress and hardships. And then when you think about your future, your children, and all of those things, you do want to be straight. Should we start treating marriage as a business? Should love not even be a factor when it comes to choosing your partner, and you just like, this is what makes more sense for me to live the best life and set myself and my future up? Personally, I don't want that for myself. I think that marriage is technically a business because you are going into a contract with somebody, and you do have to go through so much court and litigation to get out of it. So you got to make it make sense. But I don't feel like you should base it just on the financial piece and how you're going to be set up for life. I do think that love should be a factor when it comes to marriage, but hey, whatever floats your boat. And then I also wrote down, do the other preferences matter, which kind of goes into the first question, is love enough? Like, I heard somebody on another podcast saying something like, it could be a good man that you're with, but you're just not compatible in other areas. The example she used was, he's not funny. And the other woman on the panel basically went Kevin Samuels on her. She's like, that's why women are 40 years old with 4 cats and, all of these things. And I can see both perspectives. I think that sometimes we talk ourselves out of love a lot, as far as when everything is not perfectly aligned. But at the same time, even that example that she used, when you have to deal with somebody every day, and not necessarily they're not funny, but if they don't have a sense of humor, or their personality is off-putting, or when you are joyful and happy and lighthearted and they are just a Debbie Downer or whatever, that can be a big deal and a big factor. This is a person that you have to coexist with all the time. You have a funny story about love? I'm gonna bring you in after I finish this. If you're still on here, I'm almost done with this list. And that goes back to say, sometimes it's a good man or a good woman, but it might not be the right man for you or the right woman for you. And I think that that's okay. And people have to start realizing that, like, everybody is not your person. It might be, people are like, why you want to let go of that good man? It might be a good man, but if it's not the right person for you, you're the only person that has to be in that relationship and in that marriage. And that's what people forget when they're criticizing you, judging you, giving their opinions, and trying to force you to do something that they would do. You're not going to be there when I'm in this relationship with this person. So I have to make sure that I'm okay with it, and this is my choice. Should you settle just to have someone? And that goes back to it. Like, I settle is different perspectives for different people. Some people feel like settling is not getting as good as what you have to offer. Like, if you make 6 figures and you are physically fit and you have all these things going for yourself, and you get with somebody that's barely making anything, barely making it, out of shape or whatever, that could be considered settling. Or somebody may feel like all of their list of preferences that they have, because we all have a list, whether we've written it down or it's just in our head. Some people feel like settling is not getting every single box checked off. And I think that that's a little unrealistic. Like, even I would love to have the man of my dreams that checks off all the boxes, which everybody calls a unicorn. I still believe that unicorn is out there for me. But although I would love to have that and meet that person, I understand logically and realistically that I might not meet someone that has everything. But if they have enough boxes checked off and we match well, then I'm not going to let that person go just to hold out for a possibility of the unicorn. But also, I'm not going to settle too much on compromise what I want too much just to have somebody. I don't want to just be with somebody just to say I got a man. So it has to be balanced with that as well. And then the last question I wanted to ask is love a choice or a feeling? And my personal opinion is that it's both. The feeling is what I've been talking about for this whole conversation on this episode. But I do feel like it's also a choice, because you have to allow yourself, give yourself permission to and not be fearful of loving somebody. Like when you start having feelings for someone new, it's really a choice. Um, it's easy to fall in love with somebody if you choose to do so. But if you have a wall built up, or you're hesitating, or you have a blockage, or you're not ready to love, I do feel like it's something that you can, I don't want to say you can turn it on or off, because if you love somebody, you're just going to love them. But as far as like committing to that love, or falling in love, or allowing yourself to love, I do feel like there's a choice in that as well. Um, because sometimes you can start falling for somebody that you really didn't see yourself with, and you're pulling yourself back, holding yourself back from really falling for them, because you're like, they don't look like what I pictured myself with, or they got X, Y, and Z going on. I don't think I should be with them, so I'm just going to hold on to this until you can't no more. So think about those questions. And when it comes to that, as far as choosing to love somebody, and trusting someone after toxic relationships, I'm gonna be talking about that next. I'm not gonna go too much into that. Let's see here. I'm gonna send you a request to join, Angel, if you want to tell us your funny story about love, and then I'm going to pull some cards, some a self-love card, and a self-discovery card before we wrap up. So let me see.
Oh, Asha, hey. Oh, look at turn it around. See, it's funny because I was going to share this story with you later. Just the things you were saying made me start thinking about this.
Really?
But it's a funny story. So you saying like sometimes love don't look like what you think it will look like and stuff like that. And you know me, I'm a Cancer. I'm so lovey-dovey, and you just still know my very first boyfriend from 8th grade. I can call and talk to him on the phone right now. Just always connected with people. Mm-hmm. But I was just such a hopeless romantic, and I went through a phase in my life where I didn't want that type of connection. I just was doing my own thing, working, making my money, going out, connected with myself, going out by myself to clubs, movies, just getting into Angel. Mm-hmm. And I had an idea to myself. I was like, I want to try. I've never had a sugar daddy. I just want to see what that feels like. So, because where I worked, older guys will always come on to me. Mm-hmm. And I worked at a bank at that time, so I would see their bank balances and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I never was materialistic. I seen other people do it. I had best friends that had sugar daddies, people close to me that have done it. I said, fuck it, I'm going to give it a go. So, a guy came in there. He was 58, but he looked good for his age. Ate well, body looked good. And we clicked, and I said, okay, boom, here it is. I pretty much manifested a sugar daddy. I said it in the man. It was like within 2 weeks, it was
wow,
just,
yeah. Walk right in.
I'm so serious. Wow. So then he was a water sign, Scorpio, very fun. And he would just, do little surprises, come up there and leave me money in the restroom and say, hey, I left you something, go get it from such and such. And it was fun. And we would go out dancing, and I would go to his job, and we would listen to music, and we would slow dance, and he would show me baby pictures. And I started thinking to myself, I said, my lovey-dovey ass trying to run away from love, and I'm falling in love with my sugar daddy.
Damn.
So that just was a funny story. And we stopped talking, we let everything go. But in all honesty, I still love him to this day, and that's my friend. And I feel like if I ever need something in any way, shape, or form, it's somebody that I can call, and that's just what it is.
Hey, love can find you in mysterious places, I guess. Cause
it's funny, yeah. So he's 60-something now.
Wow.
Ain't this crazy?
Yeah. I mean, that was an experience, though. It sounded like it was fun while it lasted, and maybe
it was
that because you were being. Yeah, you had that experience that you hadn't had before, so it's like those feelings started coming up.
It was unexpected, and I thought it was going to be a fully detachment, not studying him, calling this little old man when I need some money. He was easy on the eye, so it made it easier to deal with him. So I'm like, okay, this boom, boom, boom. He had no problem at all. Like, it was a joy for him to come over and just be counting money on my bed and, like, seeing me anticipate when it's going to stop.
Oh.
Like, it's just little fun moments. I'm just like, okay, still counting. Little shit like that. We would laugh about it, joke about it, but it turned out to be a friendship that I did not expect in the beginning. Wow. And then it just went back to me being my authentic self, connecting with people, and just being excited about the parts of him that we connected with, and it was unexpected, but it's funny. And it's like, I don't know, the story just randomly popped up in my head as I've been listening to you on this live. I was like, dang, that's crazy how things happen.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And I think that's where the term falling in love must have come from, because sometimes you don't want to choose it, but you just fall into it. Next thing you know, you're like, damn, I got feelings, deep feelings for this person.
He called him too.
Mm.
He definitely called feelings too. It was very mutual, and he randomly, probably like 7-8 months ago, he sent me a text message outside of my old apartment and was like, he missed this place.
Oh wow! Like, oh wow! Not going by doing a reminiscing down memory lane.
Woo! Yeah, life is funny, and it's so crazy. I'm so transparent. Like, the relationship my partner and I have today, like, I can share this story to him. Like, I won't go probably all in the detail about sending a picture outside the apartment, but I can share this story with him, and we can have a laugh in a moment about it, because, you know, we share a similar friendship. And I think that's so important in the development of relationships and love and building bonds, is to have that friendship, because it's going to be the foundation. For us, it has been the foundation that has carried us through tough times, through arguments, through infidelity, through financial instability, through growth, through learning ourselves, or learning each other. So I'm an advocate for love, and I believe it exists. Yes, it does. Yeah. I believe in it too. I don't care what I've been through, what my current situation is, how long I've been single. I believe in love. I believe that it exists. And I believe that we should have the good feelings that come along with love. Like, yeah, we all know that there's things that go on in a relationship. You have your ups and downs, but I feel like we are deserving of the blissful sides of love, the romance, the excitement, and all of those things as well. And I believe it exists. It does exist. Yep. All right. Well, I'm getting out of here. All right. Thank you for joining. Thank you. Thank you for letting me join. No problem. Thank you. All right, y'all. So we're going to pull a self-love card, and this is a journal prompt where I want you to think about, just to take with you. You can take this and write in your journal, or just think about the answer. And the self-love card is, what am I proudest of myself for recently, even if no one else has let me know? So, make sure you all are celebrating your wins and validating yourself and affirming yourself, because if you are just looking for that outside validation and affirmation and all of that, it can be disappointing when you don't have it. The self-discovery prompt of the day is, what's my most toxic trait I can admit to, and where do I think it stems from? This is a great self-reflection question, because we all often point fingers at who all is toxic and who did it, but look, it's 3 of them pointing back at yourself. So do some self-reflecting on your toxic trait. Where does it stem from is a great follow-up question to that, because sometimes there's deeper work that needs to be done when it comes to these toxic traits that we have. So again, that question for self-love is, what are you proudest of yourself for recently, even if no one else has let you know? And the self-reflection is, what's your most toxic trait that you can admit to, and where does it stem from? Again, if you all would like coaching services, I am a certified life coach specializing in self-discovery, self-love, and healing. Book a discovery call. It's in my link on all my streaming platforms, or on my platforms, Instagram, Facebook. My website is www.ashacerise.com. And you can book a call on my Linktree, linktree.com/Asha Cerise. I have some upcoming programs going on for the youth. So if you are in the Atlanta area, please visit my Linktree and complete an application, or not an application, it's a survey. Just asking a few questions for people who are in the Atlanta area that have children under 18. I have some questions so I can make sure that the program best fits your needs and your child's needs. And again, make sure you're following Asha Cerise on all platforms, www.instagram.com/Asha Cerise, facebook.com/Asha Cerise, youtube.com/@Asha Cerise.
This is the Cool Weirdos Podcast. You can follow that page as well. Thank you all for tuning in. Remember, love still exists. What does it feel like to you? And whatever it feels like to you, make sure that you understand that you are deserving of that feeling. I enjoyed talking to y'all and reading to you all tonight. I'm going to wrap it up with that, and I will talk to y'all later.